Korkor. In the quiet town of Asukoma, nestled between green hills and dusty roads, stood a worn-down government school, Asukoma M, or a basic school. It wasn't the best school in the region, but it had one teacher no student ever forgot, Miss Korkor, tall and slim with piercing eyes that looked straight through your soul. Miss Korkor taught English and science. Her voice was calm but cold, and she never smiled. Rumors flew around the school like paper in Harmattan winds. Some said she could hear thoughts. Others claimed she never blinked. But the strangest of all was whispered only in hushed voices. Miss Korkor de occult. No one dared to speak it loud, but the signs were everywhere. Students in her class often fell mysteriously sick, especially the brilliant ones. Kwaku, the top boy in P6, suddenly lost his voice for 3 weeks. Ama, who was good in spelling, fainted during an exam and forgot how to read. Parents came, cried, prayed, but nothing changed. One girl swore she saw Miss Korkor writing strange symbols on the blackboard after school. Another claimed she heard her chanting alone in the staff common room. One night, Afi, a curious GH's one girl who lived near the school, decided to follow Miss Korkor. She had noticed the teacher always left school late and walked into the nearby forest. Hiding behind the trees, Afi trailed her until she saw a faint red glow in the darkness. There, deep in the bush, was a small clearing. 7 figures stood in a circle, wearing black robes. Part 2. It was Miss Korkor, her eyes glowing red, holding a student's notebook above the flames. "Bring me their brilliance. Feed me their light," she whispered. That night, Afi didn't sleep, but she knew she couldn't stay quiet. The next morning, she told her grandmother, Mommy Abina, a known prayer warrior in town. Word spread fast. By evening, a group of elders, pastors, and townspeople marched to Miss Korkor's house. She denied everything, of course, but they found the same old box Afi had seen in it. Were hair strands, pencils, and exam papers belonging to several students. Miss Korkor vanished that same night. Some say she escaped into the forest and joined her occult forever. Others believe she still walks among us in disguise, feeding off students' intelligence in new schools across Ghana. But in Asukoma, her story is told every year to new pupils. And when the chalk squeaks too loud or the lights flicker during class, the children whisper, Miss Korkor is watching. After Miss Korkor disappeared, peace seemed to return to Asukoma M, or a basic school. The students could breathe again. Test scores improved. Even the teachers seemed lighter, less tense. But Afi, now considered a brave heroine, couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't over. One day, while cleaning the staff room as punishment for being late, she found a strange notebook wedged behind a dusty cupboard. It was wrapped in black cloth, tied with red thread, and covered in dried powder. The moment she touched it, a cold breeze swept through the room despite the hot sun outside. Heart pounding, she opened it. Part 3. Inside were pages filled with incantations, strange drawings of human eyes, and a list of named students' names crossed out one by one. At the bottom of the last page was a phrase written in blood-red ink. If I fall, another shall rise. That night, Afi took the book to Mommy Abina. Her grandmother looked at it and trembled. Child, this be deeper than we think. Miss Korkor no be ordinary member. She be high priestess. They took the book to Pastor Gideon, the leader of the town's biggest church. After praying over it, he confirmed what Afi feared: Miss Korkor's spirit was still around, seeking a vessel. 2 weeks later, the district education office posted a new teacher to replace Miss Korkor. Her name was Madame Faustina, a beautiful, gentle woman who spoke softly and smiled often. The children adored her instantly, but Afi felt something was off. One day, she peeked into Madame Faustina's handbag while helping her carry books. Inside was a pendant with the same occult symbol from the Black Book. That night, Afi dreamed of Miss Korkor standing over her bed, whispering, I told you, another will rise. When she woke up, her voice was gone, just like Kwaku's. The town had had enough. Mommy Abina gathered a team of intercessors and spiritual elders. They surrounded the school at dawn, pouring anointing oil and chanting powerful prayers. As they entered the school, Madame Faustina began to scream. Her body convulsed, and her eyes turned pitch black. You cannot break the circle. The blood has been paid, she growled. her voice now deep and unnatural. But Mommy Abina stood firm. The blood of Jesus pass your own. The battle lasted 2 hours. Chairs flew, windows shattered, the walls of the school cracked. But in the end, with prayers, fire, and fasting, the spirit was cast out. Madame Faustina collapsed unconscious. When she awoke, she remembered nothing. She had been possessed from the moment she arrived in Asukoma. Afi grew up and became a journalist. She wrote about what happened at her school in a book called The Shadows of Miss Korkor. The story became famous across Ghana. Parents, teachers, and pastors read it aloud to warn children about the dangers of hidden evil. But in the back of Afi's mind, something still lingered. Sometimes late at night, she'd receive anonymous texts. You think it's over? We never die. We multiply. And each time she visits the old school, Miss Korkor's desk is still there unclaimed, untouched, and cold to the touch. Because some shadows never leave. 10 years after the battle at Asukoma School, Afi, now an investigative journalist for a major Ghanaian news station, received a mysterious brown envelope at her Accra office. Inside was an old photograph. A picture of Miss Korkor, standing beside 7 other teachers, all wearing white. On the back, written in fading ink, were the words, "The original circle, only 4 remain." Part 5. Chills ran down her spine. Could it be that the occult group was never destroyed, just scattered? She dug deeper. Her research led her to an abandoned mission school in the eastern region called Odia's Institute. Rumors said it was once a top school, but strange deaths and unexplained disappearances caused it to shut down. With her cameraman Kwame and a spiritual guide named Prophet Kojo, Afi made the journey to Odia's. The buildings were ruined, overgrown with weeds, but in the main assembly hall, they found something shocking. A giant mural painted on the ceiling, a woman in black robes with blood pouring from her eyes, surrounded by 7 burning stars. Beneath it, a trapdoor. They opened it and descended into an underground chamber, where they found black candles, dried animal bones, and 7 stone chairs placed in a circle. In the center was a large book with a title in Latin, Sanguis Doctrina, the doctrine of blood. Prophet Kojo read the first page and collapsed. Back in Accra, Prophet Kojo began behaving strangely. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep, and often muttered Miss Korkor's name at night. Afi knew what was happening. The spirit was back, and this time, stronger. She reached out to Mommy Abina, now frail but still spiritually strong. Mommy Abina wept when she saw the book and declared it'd be the final seed. If them complete the 7 again, the whole nation go pay. They had to destroy the book, but the book refused to burn. Water didn't affect it. Even acid failed. It was as if it was alive. Part 6. Then Kwame, the cameraman, suggested they televise the story, expose everything to the public. Maybe light, not fire, was what could destroy darkness. When the news story aired on TV3, the secret cult of Ghana's elite teachers, it caused a national uproar. People came forward with stories. Students from other schools spoke of strange teachers. Parents called in to say their children had become silent or sick after contact with certain staff. The Ministry of Education launched an emergency investigation. Several teachers vanished overnight. But during a live interview, the screen cut off and Miss Korkor's face appeared. You think light can erase what was written in blood? Afi, you will return to dust before I do. Afi knew what she had to do. The book was tied to her. It wouldn't be destroyed until she severed her connection to it completely. Guided by dreams and revelations, she returned to Asukoma School and sat at Miss Korkor's old desk. There, she wrote one final story. I give back what was taken. As she placed the story on top of the occult book, the air around her thickened. The wind howled. The sky darkened. A loud, piercing scream echoed through the town. And then silence. The book turned to ash. Afi was never seen again. But every year, on the anniversary of that day, fresh flowers appear at her desk in Asukoma School, though no one knows who. Part 7. Some say she died. Others believe she lives among the spirit realm, guarding the children from the shadows. And on certain nights, when the wind whistles through the school windows, you might hear a voice whisper, "Not all teachers teach from textbooks." Though the book had turned to ash and Afi had disappeared, the war was not over. 2 weeks after Afi's vanishing, strange things began happening across Ghana. 7 schools, one in each region, reported similar events. Teachers collapsing during assembly with eyes rolled back. Chalk writing on boards by itself, symbols no one understood. Brilliant students forgetting their own names during exams. Loud cries heard from empty staff rooms late at night. The Ministry of Education tried to dismiss the reports as mass hysteria, but Prophet Kojo, now in hiding, knew the truth. The circle has returned. The 7 are awakening. He began to gather a team of prayer warriors, retired teachers, spiritualists, and ex-cult members. They called themselves the Light Bearers. Before her disappearance, Afi had sent one final package to Mommy, Abina. Inside was a hand-drawn map with 7 red dots marked across Ghana. Each dot corresponded with a school that had reported paranormal activity. But something was strange. The dots formed the shape of an eye. In the center of the eye was a small town few people had heard of, Tobias. Part 8. Legend had it that Tobias was the original site where the occult group was formed. A sacred forest nearby called Anajai Bepwe Joy Mountain was said to house an ancient shrine known only to those deep in the occult world. The light bearers made their way to Tobias. The town was quiet, too quiet. The moment they arrived, children began crying in their sleep. Dogs barked all night, and every single clock in the town froze at 3:33 a.m. Inside Anajai Bepwa, they found a large tree hollow in the middle, filled with human bones. On the bark, carved in deep lines, was a message. The light bearers uncovered the final secret of Miss Korkor's cult. They only targeted brilliant children, not out of jealousy, but because the intelligent ones had the power to break their spell. Each time they drained a child's brilliance, they delayed their own destruction. But there was hope. If one gifted child willingly gave up their talent to save the rest, the cycle would end. The team found a boy named Ya Jr., a 13-year-old math genius from Tamale. He had been having dreams of Afi. She would appear and say, "You're the last light. Your mind is the key." Ya agreed to help. The final ritual took place at dawn in Tobias. Final part. As Ya recited a counter incantation taught to him by Afi in his dreams, the sky turned black. Thunder roared. The 7 remaining cult teachers appeared, spirits in human form, screaming, trying to stop the ritual. But Ya, filled with courage and innocence, finished the chant. The tree split. The earth shook. One by one, the spirits burst into flames, banished forever. Ya survived, but he never solved another math equation again. His gift was gone, but the children of Ghana were safe. Afi's voice was heard once more, faintly, on a school radio in Asukoma. To all students, ask questions, think, learn, but never trust the teacher who never blinks. Miss Korkor's story was turned into school plays, radio dramas, and TV series. Her face became a warning, her name a legend. But sometimes, just sometimes, a student will find a red ink note in their exercise book that says, "See you after class." And they know the shadows are never far behind. Please always pray for your children in school, for them to be safe. Not every teacher or student are possessed by good spirits. Don't forget to follow my page and like my videos for more tales.